Hey folks, Mike from KEI Fabrication. I'm going to give you, first I'll show you what I'm doing, and then I'm going to give you an honest review of this 4-link kit that, it's an Amazon special, right? Max speeding rods, alright? So first of all, I'll show you the good stuff, right? So the good stuff is it comes with everything you need to do a parallel 4-link installation on, let's say, a typical street-driven street rod. It comes with forged Hymens, and they have, I believe it's a 15 millimeter or 16 millimeter fastener. It's an 8.8 fastener, so it's strong. The rod ends are rated for the equivalent to if you bought one from McMaster Carr for the 5/8 rod end. They are metric threads, and that is potentially, something that may concern you. It comes with all the tube ends, and the nice thing I like about it is the left-hand threaded one has the indicator on it with a groove machined in it. And they can see that the right-hand one doesn't have one. The rods, the tubing is 24-inch long tubes, and they're 1 1/4 outside diameter by 3/16 wall. So pretty heavy duty, and it is DOM tubing. So it's pretty strong. Now, why did I go with this kit? Well, I think the delivered price was like 168 bucks, and it came with everything. And if you're doing, a street rod, or something that is going to be on airbags or whatever, and you need it to travel, it comes with all the bracketry to do that. This is the frame bracket, fairly easy install. Here's the axle brackets. They have the radius cut into them to fit right on the axle. So and it comes with it comes with a 5th 24-inch rod, and the brackets and the heim joints and the hardware, including the tube ends, to do a panhard rod. So pretty comprehensive kit. I can't take away from the fact that it comes with everything you need. This is my rods cut to length, and I've got them tacked. I'm using TIG welds. I've drilled a hole for a rosette weld, so it adds strength to the assembly, the welded components, so it's not just relying on one circumferential weld around the tube and the tube end. This adds some additional strength. So all in all, not too bad. Now, I'm not using any of this bracketry because I am doing custom drag race / road race suspension that I wanted more adjustability than just true parallel, right? What parallel means is they're parallel as far as the center line of the vehicle. The rods are parallel with that. It's not an interference angle where one set of the bars would be at an angle to provide the stability left and right. But this is also pretty much parallel in terms of the upper bar versus the lower bar, and you have a couple of little opportunities to adjust. But if you're really looking for a performance application, that's not the amount of adjustability that's going to get you through the variety of the different situations that you may need to adjust for at whatever the event is that you're participating in. Alright, some things that are negatives about this kit. Well, first of all, the metric hardware. If you're outside of the United States and metric is the standard, that's wonderful, and this is a non-issue. You can fast forward through this part. But if you're in the United States, let's say you break a rod end you can't just go to the local parts store and say, hey, I need one that has the 16 millimeter by 1.5 thread pitch or whatever it happens to be. The good news is I don't think I'm using the panhard rod that it came with, so my spares is going to have a left hand and a right hand thread for a spare, because I'm not using that situation for my application. So is it an issue? Is it not? Well, that depends on your application and your preferences. As far as this hardware, it is virtually identical in size to a 5/8 dash, what is it, 18 fine thread size, right? So you can you can replace this hardware with either using nutandbolt.com or McMaster-Carr, or the local hardware store. You may be able to purchase these. These do come with nylock nuts, the metric, equivalent to the nylock nuts. So again, pretty comprehensive. One of the things that is annoying is that they powder coated everything. They powder coated the chassis brackets, they powder coated the tubes, and they powder coated the rod ends. So it is going to take you an hour to just clean the powder coating off 8 of these, right, and 4 of these tubes. And then I'm kind of fortunate, I'm not using the chassis brackets, so I don't have to clean the powder coating off of those. But anywhere these are intended to be welded, it is powder coated, it's not paint, so it takes some time to take that coating off. So one more thing that I wished was a little better is the diameter of the inside of the tube versus the outside diameter of the tube end. It's, I don't know, maybe 30 thousandths per side, a little small. I would have preferred a little tighter fit, but when I do the rosette welds, I think we're in really good shape in terms of being able to still add or make up for the issue of the tube wanting to rock inside the tube end wanting to rock inside the tube. So that would be a preference that I would like to see improved upon. And that is an example of, you get what you pay for kind of thing. So I'm just going to have to live with it because I chose to go this route. All in all, I think it's a pretty rugged system. One of the other negatives that I'd like to point out is the left-hand jam nut for the rod end is actually a reduced dimension jam nut, but look at the right-hand jam nut. It's a standard thickness. So my intention is to replace these with a right-hand metric thread narrower than this. I don't know if I'm just going to be super cheap and cut these down or turn them down on a lathe so they end up being narrower, or I'll purchase a set of these that are the reduced dimension. The left-hand thread ones are not as narrow as what an ANSI English one might be, but it's much more user-friendly in terms of getting you the extra adjustability in terms of length, and the proximity of the bracket. What ends up happening with that, if you've got it adjusted in really close, the jam nut bottoms out on the bracket. So the narrower the jam nut is, the more pivot you can get. Not that I may even need that much, but I'm hoping that won't be an issue. But I am going to change those. I'm going to get rid of them, or at least narrow them up on the lathe. Something depends on how much time I have, and if I want to be frugal, or go whole hog and buy another set of nuts. So as far as the negatives, that's really kind of it. Again, the powder coated components, annoying, and the metric threads annoying. But as far as the quality and the way these things are welded together, I have to say it's good material, and the welds are coming out really good. So as far as, you know, how are they going to perform, well, that really depends a lot upon the vehicle I'm putting them in. The maximum horsepower I would ever be trying to put through these things on a 26-inch wide tire, or 28-inch, I'm sorry, yeah, 20, let's see, how does that work? Yeah, 10.5-inch tire or something to that effect, as far as the slick is concerned, or maybe a 12 or 13-inch wide. No, never that wide. So as far as the performance of these, I think they're plenty strong enough for my application. I don't think I'll be putting more than, you know, 500 horsepower through these things, because I don't have the money to buy or purchase or build a motor that's capable of putting out 700,000-800,000 or whatever. But these are pretty rugged. And I am going to be running on slicks, but it is a 26 by 10.5. So certainly going to be exercising them a little bit, but certainly not exceeding the limits of the tubing. So why did I go with this inexpensive kit? Anywhere I went to purchase a 4-link kit for this, and you know, either with or without brackets, like the minimum I could spend was in the $700 range. By the time, and then if you tried to piece it all together yourself, buy the Hymen separately, buy the hardware separately, you know, everything's ×8 when it comes to the rod ends and the hardware and the nylock nuts and the jam nuts and whatever it is that you're doing. The tubing itself was expensive. It was almost the same number to try to buy it independently. By the time I bought the straight length of the tubing, by the time I purchased all the hardware and the Hymens from whatever supplier you're comfortable with dealing with, you know, the price was between $500 and $700. If I bought a kit, I couldn't buy the bars only with rod ends and hardware. I couldn't buy just that unless I was buying like a Pro Mod style, and you know, now you're talking $800-900 because it's 1.5-inch diameter chrome moly tubing, and you know, way overkill Hymens and all that kind of thing. So I just made a decision on trying not to compromise strength and quality per se, but certainly compromising in some of the other things like metric hardware. But I think I can overcome that dilemma. So as of right now, I don't really see any issues. I was able to accomplish everything that I set out to do with this. I'll probably use these brackets on some other project, so that's not like a waste of money. But even to buy the brackets, you know, depending on who your supplier is, these aren't cheap either. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. As far as the strength and all that stuff, I think the DOM tubing of this diameter and this wall thickness, if you do any kind of math or look at what other companies offer as a street/strip setup, and they actually give you some kind of horsepower levels, this is actually one of the strongest materials and diameter that I've seen out there available. So that's why I went this route. Some have a set of tubes that are 1 inch in diameter and they're direct thread, super strong DOM tubing. That's an inexpensive option, but I really was worried about the 1 inch diameter and the flex that I might see as a result. The smaller diameter, the least resistance it has to flex. This is 1 1/4 diameter and the wall thickness is substantial. So I'm not necessarily concerned with weight because I am doing drag and drive stuff. I plan on doing some drifting. I plan on doing some road racing or autocrossing. I need some forgiveness, if you will, in the materials. So some reserve capacity, another way to state it. You know, if at some point in the middle of some event that, you know, these things bend, break, fail, whatever, unexpectedly, or when they shouldn't have, I'll let you know. But based on what I'm observing, the only way I think that I would have these fail is if I just did zero maintenance on these or had some sort of crash, right? An unexpected event. So I'm going to have a fair amount of confidence in the equipment that's going to be under the truck based on what I'm observing. I don't know if that's going to be helpful to you folks or not, but if you're building you know, a project vehicle, that might be a reasonably priced alternative. I wish I didn't have to go the route of Chinesium, but you know, when you're talking, let's say $175 versus $600, you know, that's $500, $400 I can spend on something else. I don't think I'll have to spend the money twice here based on my observations. It could be totally wrong. You know, maybe the centers of these high ends will just blow out. I believe I can order metric rod ends of the same size, thread and everything from McMaster Car. I may do that anyway, just as some spares. They have a pretty good rating on the ones from McMaster Car. I think they have like a $10,000 static, 10,000, I believe they have a 10,000 pound static load. These were advertised as like a 14,000 pound static load. I don't know if those numbers are real or not. But like I say, the only thing that I really see could potentially be a problem is if maybe the centers of these blow out. I did buy the seal zipped rod end seals, so I can spray a little bit of, I use chain lube on stuff like this because it's sticky and it hangs on, and it's a lubricant that is designed for a load bearing situation. In other words, you know, when the lubrication gets between the two surfaces, the chain lube is a type of lubricant that's not just going to squish out and you're right back to metal. There'll be some sort of barrier between the two surfaces that'll see some friction. So the seals it will keep the road dirt grime out, and you know, I can disassemble it, clean it, put it back together. So that's it for this one. Let me know if it was helpful. Don't beat me up because I bought all this Chinesium, but I'm just being realistic. I'm not made of money, but I still have a goal in my project. This is a way to keep me on track from those goals. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think or if you have any experience with these.